All right, cool. So today we're going to be covering part 2 of the dietary basics and learning how to set up your diet. So in part 1, we discussed how to work out your maintenance calories from a food intake diary, from the basal metabolic rate equation and total expenditure equation, which obviously we discussed isn't as accurate, but gives you a good rough starting point. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about maintenance, the macros that you need and your calorie distribution with those macros to be able to get an idea of how much you should be eating of what to make up your maintenance calories. So if you guys didn't watch part 1, I really recommend you go back and watch that, just because we will be talking about maintenance calories and using the stuff that we worked out in that first episode to be able to move on to this one. So if you already know your maintenance calories, that's great. You can still apply the knowledge from this one. But if you are still new to the idea and haven't really worked it out, you can go to the other one. I'll link it down below, and you can find the you can find the original video for part 1, and you can come back to this one afterwards. When you finish that one. So basically, let's hop in. So what are macros? Macros are basically the macronutrients which we need for our body to function adequately and in a healthy way, and just be able to allow our body to function normally. So when we talk about macros are normally talked about with 3 main things, being protein, fat, and carbs. And basically the way they work out is that 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories, 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories, and 1 gram of carbohydrates or carbs, which I'll refer to it as, is 4 calories. So, pretty straightforward. You can see the way that they're broken down now. So we're going to hop in straight away. With protein. Protein is an essential macronutrient. I think anyone that's really into fitness has at least heard of what protein is and knows what it is. And obviously proteins are a macronutrient that are essential for rebuilding our muscles and cells. So when we go to the gym and we're a bit sore with the delayed onset muscle soreness, and that's normally caused between a mix of lactic acid and and the micro tearing that we get from lifting heavy weights and exposing our muscles to extreme levels of stress that they're not quite used to. So the idea is we need that protein to make sure that our muscles are getting repaired adequately, and so that we can feel like we're making progress. Because if our muscles don't really learn and don't adjust, you're not going to feel like you're making any progress because you're still lifting the same weights. Protein isn't stored in the body, whilst fats and carbs are stored in the body. And basically the way they work is that it's basically 2 grams per kilo of your body weight. So basically, if I weigh 66 kilos, like in the example, you just want to multiply that by 2, which will give you 132 grams. So having it in grams and in calories gives you an idea of knowing to give you a visible and weighable amount of food that you know that this is what I need to eat every day, whilst calories lets you just input it with your maintenance and lets you track it a bit easier. So just think of it as grams being a variable that you can just kind of see and you can weigh it out. That's exactly what I need. And then the calories allow you to just track it a bit easier and a bit better, because obviously they just work out easier in your maintenance calories. Just much easier to follow, essentially what I'm trying to get at. But anyway, so to work it out in calories, you just want to times the number of grams that you're having by 4. So if I'm having 132 grams, I times that by 4, which gives me 528 calories for protein. So that's basically my calorie and gram intake of protein for one day. So we're going to move on to fats. Fats are infamously known for being negative to the body. There's all these scandals and stuff, back, but they're essential to our body's function, and we couldn't live without fats. If we didn't have them, we just wouldn't work. Basically, they are probably one of the most, they are the largest energy store in our body, and they allow for the absorption of soluble vitamins like vitamin A and K. That comes straight to mind. Basically, fats make up about 20% of your caloric intake, right? So if you had anything less than 20%, you're going to probably experience a vitamin deficiency, because you're not having enough fat to be to be able to absorb the vitamins that are fat soluble. So you kind of want to make sure that you've got a good level of it, and you don't want to go over 20. You don't want to go too high over 20%, because unless you've got a incredibly quick metabolism, that fat is going to build up as fat on your body. So 20% is a nice sweet spot. Obviously, give or take a little bit isn't going to kill you, but that's kind of what you want to be aiming for. So for example, the way that you work this out is that you want to take your caloric intake, which my maintenance calories is 2,754, and you just want to multiply that by 0.2, which will give you 20% of that value. So in my situation, 2,754 times 0.2 was equal to 550.8 calories. However, for the maths, I've just made it simpler. I just given it as 550 calories, and that's it. So that's obviously great for knowing what I need to track, but to get a value that I can weigh and stuff, basically you want to take that 550 calories and divide that by 9, which will give you a 61.2 grams of fat. All right, so there you go. So you know that you're going to have 61 grams of fat per day, which will equivalent to 550 calories. Fucking hell, try go through this with grams and calories and you'll be mixing them up all day. But anyway, so yeah, 550 calories, 61.2 grams of fat per day. So moving on to the last macro, which is carbohydrates or carbs. And carbs are the main source of energy on our diet. However, carbs are the only non-essential macronutrient. We can live without carbs, but it's similar to driving a car with no petrol. The car will move, but it'll only move downhill. And so same applies to your body. You can live without carbs, but your performance is going to be drastically decreased. Like, you're gonna experience a lot of a lack of energy and stuff. So they are an important part of your diet, and you honestly shouldn't neglect them. So carbs are easy to calculate. They just make up the remainder of your calories. So in ours, it was 2,754 calories. Our protein was 528, and our fat was 550 calories. So we have a total of 1,078 calories already allocated for our macros, which means that we, by doing the maths, just taking away the number that we already have from our maintenance, we have 1,676 calories left over. So you might think that's a lot, but that's because we do actually go through a lot of carbs, and because carbs they are normally very easy to burn, and they are just there to provide you with constant energy. So basically the way that we want to work that out into grams is you want to just divide that 1,676 calories by 4, and that'll give you 419 grams, at least in my case. Basically, the way this works is that so the diet plan, right? So I'll discuss what I was going to talk now. So your diet plan, so for me, in my case, I'm 66 kilos at 5'10", 1 meter 78, with a maintenance calories of 2,754 calories. So my macros breakdown would roughly be about 132 grams of protein, which is 528 calories, 61 grams of fat, which is 550 calories, and 419 grams of carbs, which is 1,676, which adds up to my total of 2,754. So yeah, as I was about to say, if you're adjusting your diet plan for cutting and bulking, it's not that difficult, because the idea is that when we look at our protein, our weight is never going to really change. So you just want to basically do the same thing just with your new maintenance calories. So if you're on a cut and you're cutting to 2,500 calories, you basically want to repeat the process that we did for fats. You want to take 20% of 2,500 instead, and it's very easy to adjust. So, just using the number of calories that you're eating, you can work out the rest of it. So that's pretty much it. You've kind of figured out with that, you've been able to work out roughly what number of calories you should be eating from what, the grams. So you have both a weighable, variable, and a trackable variable in calories. And that should hopefully give you an idea on getting into a diet plan. If you guys have anything else that you want to, suggest for me to break down, hopefully a bit easier, and get an idea of what you're actually meant to be doing, if you're beginning, just whether it's more dieting stuff, whether it's more training related, to break down training splits and other sorts of things. If I don't know, if you guys have any other ideas for videos, make sure to drop them in the comments below. If you found this useful, just I don't know, share it with anyone else that you know that's starting the gym. You know, everyone's going to be wanting to get out and probably going to start training when the gym comes and opens up eventually. And everyone just wants to be able to, everyone wants to be able to train again. Dieting is going to be an important part of that. So if you know anyone that wants to start training like seriously when all this lockdown is over, make sure to share this video with them. And yeah, make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed what you've seen, and check out the other videos whilst you're at it. But yeah, with that being said, guys, that's pretty much it. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next video.